The time has come. I am doing my review of the Ethics series by Ashley Antoinette, and it is also going to include Moth to a Flame and Christmas with the Okafors. Y'all ready? All right, let's go. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey y'all, I'm Janice Levine and welcome back to JenOnBooks. Today, you already know what it is. I am getting into my review of the Ethic series, and I am including Moth to a Flame and Christmas with the Okafors, so that is 8 books. Shout out to My Keen Imagination here on BookTube. She did a bomb, sharing her reflections and her thoughts on the Ethics series. It really wasn't so much a review, but it was more so like what I'm doing, like sharing my reflections and my thoughts and the things that I learned within the Ethics series. I will definitely link her video below. Me and her were kikiing and chatting back and forth about it underneath her video, but I just loved her commentary and her thoughts on this series, so make sure you go ahead and check her video out as well. I am going to tell you right now that there will be spoilers. There will be spoilers because this series is the reason why I joined Book Talk, because I wore my husband so thin. My poor baby. I wore him so thin talking about this series. Oh my goodness, there is so much to get into. I do not think I'm going to be able to read all of my Goodreads reviews on all these books because, again, this is 8 books and I don't want to go through all of that because I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. So I did a little bit of research online and I kept hearing everybody talking about the Ethics series and all this good stuff, and also how there's a very specific order that you need to read the books in to stay abreast of everything that is going on and so that you can keep up, okay? So I found a list on TikTok that says that you should start with Moth to a Flame. So that is what I did. I actually listened to this entire series from top to bottom. I started with Moth to a Flame on Thanksgiving Day while I was cooking. I said, this is a really good time to get a book in. So that's what I did. I started with Moth to a Flame. And my chest. Moth to a Flame was such an emotional story. It really reminded me of The Coldest Winter Ever in the sense that it was a cautionary tale. And man, this book was so heavy. There was so many crazy things that happened in the book, and it just sucked me in and snatched me together. And it really is the start of Ethic's story. I know that he shows up, I think, in the Prada plant, and I think he also shows up in Lux. But I just was like, girl, I was told to start with Moth to a Flame, and I did. And so essentially, Moth to a Flame is a story about Raven Atkins, a young woman who is the daughter of a drug kingpin, essentially, Benny Atkins. And she is living her best life as a hood princess, and she gets entangled with a man named Mazan that was literally Satan. Like, this man was so... And as you go further into the Ethics series, you will learn more about Mazan as well, and just a deplorable character, just horrible, a despicable character. I was going to say human being, but these people are not real. And that is something that you have to remind yourself of several times as you are reading this. Girl, this story is not real. These people are not real, because Ashley Antoinette did her big one writing these stories, okay? So Raven is out here living her best life as a hood princess. She meets this man named Mazan, and he is literally the devil. She essentially ruins and destroys her entire family by being with this man, Mazan. Her father is a huge drug kingpin, and Ethic is a part of his community. I'll say it like that. Ethic is a part of his community, and they work together in this drug space, okay? And Mazan is just, I cannot go in enough about this man. But anyways, Benny Atkins, Raven's father, does not want her to be with him. And naturally, whenever you tell a girl, don't be with XYZ guy, what do they do? Go straight for him. So essentially, Mazan convinces Raven to be with him, and now she's like his property and all this stuff. And a trickle effect happens. Benny Atkins ends up dead. The mother, which I cannot remember her name, I think I want to call her Justine Atkins. I don't know if I got that name right. Y'all let me know in the comments. But anyway, the mother ends up going to jail because the police raid his house. And even though Benny is dead now, she was a part of his business, and she goes to jail. She ends up taking the fall because when they raid his house, they find the drugs, all this stuff. Her little sister Morgan, who is deaf, ends up being raised by Ethic, and he ends up rescuing them essentially from Mazan. Raven ends up getting away, but Mazan tracks her down, and it's just it is just so bad. It is like, this book never gets, it does not have a happy ending. It never gets good. This book is legit a cautionary tale. And essentially, Mazan ends up getting Raven back, and she's pregnant with Ethic's child. It is just the level. There are so many trigger warnings within this book. It's just really even difficult to talk about. There are so many trigger warnings: rape, violence, drugs, abuse, just everything happens in this book. And by the end of the story, Raven gets murdered. Yeah, like I said, her actions really snowball into just madness and mayhem for literally everybody that she loves and that she is connected with, including her best friend, who ends up dying in the end with her. It is only by the grace and mercy of God that her child, aka Ethic's child, Easy, does not end up dead. My Lord. I wanted to cry so many times reading this story, because I'm like just praying to God that something will turn around. And even when things did seemingly turn around and she gets away from Mazan, he comes back, and it's just like, girl, it is just so bad. So bad. From top to bottom, this story is dramatic. It is traumatizing and terrible. And again, it is a cautionary tale. It was just so bad, so bad, so bad. Even though the story was bad, we are introduced to the character of Ethic, who is a mystery. Like, he's a bit of a mystery. Raven is secretly in love with him, but he's like really not giving her the time of day. That's another reason why this book reminded me of The Coldest Winter Ever, because it really, Raven and Ethic's relationship reminded me so much of Winter and Midnight. Midnight was working with her dad, and he just was like not here for her. He was not trying to deal with this little girl. But the difference is that Ethic does end up falling for Raven, and Midnight just was like, nah, chill, get your life. We're going to go straight into the Ethic series. Things that I liked and things that I did not like. So the Ethic series is a series of books, 6 books, that really takes you on the journey of Ethic and his relationships and his life post Raven, and that whole situation with Raven and Benny Atkins and all of that. So in the Ethic series, we find Ethic, he is raising, or he has raised Morgan, which is Raven's sister. He has raised Raven's sister as his own child, and he has his son that he had with Raven. You know, she's gone now. So he also has a daughter from a previous relationship. So yeah, Morgan is grown up now. She's a teenager. Again, like I said before, she's deaf. And he pays for her to get her hearing back, and she's just growing up and all this stuff. Within this story, I'm talking specifically about book 1. Within this story, I just got so angry because Morgan knows everything that happened with her sister. And essentially, she starts to walk down the exact same path. And I'm just like, girl, why? Literally walking in her sister's footsteps. And it is terrible. So she finds herself in a terrible situation. She gets raped by these 2 guys, and all hell breaks loose. Okay, like, it is just a mess. So one of Ethic's young gunners or whatever have you, his name is Messiah. Like, they're all a part of this trying to avenge Raven, right? And Ethic tells Messiah, no, chill, go, like, relax. This is my child. I got this. So he essentially rolls up on the guy that raped Raven and Ma'am. He rolls up on him and kills him. He shoots him, you know, from a distance, not knowing that the guy had his niece, like, in his arms while they were laying down on the couch. So essentially, Ethic ends up killing the guy that raped the guy that raped Morgan and his niece. Oh my gosh, he did not mean to do that. It is what it is. Later on, he ends up falling in love with this woman, and the woman is the mother and the sister to the little girl that he killed by accident, and the guy that raped Raven. So he meets her, and they end up falling in love, and thus ensues the story of Ethic. And child, my chest, Lord. So I have my notes over here. I had to write down notes because, again, I just have so many things to say. So I want to start off with the good. And the good is all the things that I liked about this series. There are so many different characters that come in and out of the story. So many different stories within the story. It's just, it's a lot. So let's just start with the things that I liked. I absolutely loved the complexity of Ethic. I thought that he was very complex. I thought the series really was very complex. There are so many different things to consider. It's really polarizing at times because it's like, oh no, I would never. And then you're like, you know what? I kind of feel you on that. Like, it's actually, Antoinette has a way of writing that really takes you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you don't know sometimes if you love a person or if you can't stand them. You don't know if what somebody did was good or if it was bad. You don't know if you're rooting for the people to be in love or for them to separate. Like, that complexity, that made for an amazing ride within this series because it just had you back and forth like, oh, I can't stand him. Nah, but I feel him on that. Oh, I understand. You know what I mean? It just was like, oh, it was a ride. And it really just took you up and down, in and out. And I just thought that was so good. The next thing that I really enjoyed was the thread of forgiveness that was woven into this story. There were a lot of things that were done. There were revelations, honey, about things and about people's intentions. And I found myself asking, because I'm a believer, right? I'm a believer. I believe in God. I believe we're supposed to forgive, all this stuff. But I found myself asking myself, could I forgive that? Would I forgive that? And I like the fact that she challenged us to ask that question. Could I forgive that? Would I forgive that? You know, as a believer, I believe that you're supposed to forgive. You are supposed to forgive, like, no matter what. But the things that happen in this series will have you question. They will have you questioning your faith, honey. Because a big theme throughout the entire story was Alani, could she forgive? So she falls in love with Ethic, right? And then later on, he confesses to her that he accidentally killed her daughter, but intentionally killed her brother because her brother raped his daughter. So she's like battling within herself. I love him, but he killed my daughter. Can I forgive him? But he killed my daughter. And it's just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then there is a mirror image of that same back and forth of forgiveness with Morgan and Messiah. Because essentially Morgan ends up falling for Messiah and they have this relationship. And I'm going to get to that in a minute because, child, Morgan finds out that Messiah is the brother of Mazan, the guy that essentially got her sister killed and like beat her and did all this stuff. But she's in love with Messiah and it's just, she hates him, but she loves him. Like, it is just so they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth about, I hate you, but I love you and I want to forgive you. And so the fact that there's also another thread of, I can't stand you, but should I forgive you, with Ethic and his father. And it's just, and also Alani and her parents. So it is just, the thread of forgiveness is woven throughout this entire series. And it is such a strong theme. And it really, really, really makes you say, could I forgive anything? That's what it did for me, at least. It really made me think like, wow, could I forgive anything? And what exactly does forgiveness look like? Okay, does forgiveness look like, okay, I forgive you and we can be in a relationship? Or like, what exactly does that look like? And I loved how she just put that theme throughout the story over and over and over and over again. It was just done like, so good. The next thing that I loved about this series, and I shared it with you with the previous thing that I liked, was the plot twists, okay? Finding out that Messiah was Mazan's brother took me out. I had to pause. I had to pause the Audible and I literally screamed, I know you lying. I had to pause and like just take a break and just breathe because that thing slapped me upside the head and I did not see it coming. It was that plot twist was so good and I was just dumbfounded. The other plot twist that took me out was finding out that Pastor Nazir, I think that's his name, which was Alani's long time ago ex, but now he's like a pastor, he was like a friend. Finding out that he is Ethic's stepbrother took me out. I was like, I know you are lying. The plot twists, I just did not see them coming. Like, I didn't see them coming at all. And I feel like I can usually kind of see like, oh, okay, I think this is going to be. Baby, the way that she came out of left field and snuffed me in my jaw with these plot lines, I'm done. The shock was real. Again, that was another moment I had to pause and just talk to myself and be like, did they just say that that's his brother and his sister and his daddy just rolled up? I know you lying. I know you lying. Another thing that I really, really enjoyed about the series was the fact that it was very easy to read. She drew you in immediately, okay? Immediately. Especially if you read things in order, if you go from Moth to a Flame and then you go straight into the Ethic series, you are reeled in immediately and it will have you reading so fast. No lie, I finished this whole entire series, including the other 2 books, within like a month. Like the month of December, I was in Ethic Land. And yeah, I could not get any passports to escape. Like I was there. That's where I was living in the month of December. And that's all due to her writing style. It was so easy to read and so captivating. And the twists and the turns really keep you drawn in because you're like, wait, what? So yeah, it just really keeps you going and you will read it so fast. And I really, really loved and enjoyed that about Ashley Antoinette's writing. Last but certainly not least, I really, really loved all the names of the characters in these stories. So like, you know, we hear a lot of similar names, Carter and, you know, all these different names, right? But I felt like Ashley Antoinette really gave these characters some very, very unique names. Ezra, Alani, Masari, Messiah, Mazan, Amik, Issa. Like, I don't remember hearing these names growing up. So I'm like, okay, these were some really, really, really great names. And I just love that. I found that to really add a little extra spice into the storyline, to hear characters with really unique names. I feel like it really helped develop them as characters, and you can really start to paint a picture in your mind as to how they looked and, you know, all of that. So I really, really, really loved all the different names that she chose for everybody. Okay. Now let's get into the stuff that I just was not here for. Okay. Just, whew. First thing that I did not like about this series was how highly regarded the men were written. I could not stand that because most of these men in this series, they did some terrible things. Like, they out here killing people, like shooting folks, you know. The scene with Ethic when he killed Cream, I was like, girl, what? Killing people, selling drugs, lying, stealing, conniving. Just the way that they talked about women and talked to women, it was wild. But even still, they were still written in a way, it was just like, oh, Ethic is a king. He's a king. He's a god. And I'm like, girl, to who? I have my thoughts on whether or not I think Ethic is a good guy or a bad guy. But I just feel like they were elevated way too high. Way too high. And I'm like, girl, bye. While this was a really good series to read, I would never in my life want to be with somebody like Ethic. So when I'm online and I hear girls talking about like, oh, Ethic is my man, y'all can have him. Y'all can have all of these men, because absolutely not. I do not want no Ethic. I don't want no Messiah. I don't want none of them, because these dudes is crazy. Additionally, I did not like how desperate and weak the women were written. Like, I heard a lot of people say they did not like Alani. And from what I gather, it was because of her back and forth of whether or not she wanted to forgive Ethic and be with him or not, or whatever. It was a lot of back and forth with Alani. I personally think that Alani was somewhere in between. Okay, let me just say it like this. I feel like Alani could not decipher whether or not she actually loved Ethic or if she was secretly manipulated to love him. Because when she met him, she didn't know that he was the man that killed her brother and her daughter. All she knew was that this man was treating her really nice. He paying for the funerals. He doing all this stuff, giving her a car, doing all of this stuff. And he almost came in like a superhero at her lowest point in her life. And I think any woman will fall in love with a man like that. Any woman would fall in love, and even a man will fall in love with a woman who comes in as literally everything that they want and everything that they need while they are at the lowest point of their life. They are the most vulnerable. And I think Alani was really struggling between, do I actually love this man, or have I been manipulated to love him? And because I was initially introduced to him in such an amazing way. So, but even with that, I just really feel like she was very delusional about Ethic. Like, okay, he did all these wonderful, great things. They had all this passion between them, whatever. But this man still killed your brother and your daughter. And he did a whole lot of other stuff. Like, a lot of other things. Like, especially when, what's his ex-girlfriend name? Yaya. Especially when Yaya came around and he finally admits that he don't know if Yaya's son is his or not, and he giving her money. Like, what? No, ma'am. Absolutely not. Like, Ethic was not perfect by a long shot. And she really just was esteeming him so high. And I'm like, why? Additionally, I did not care for how Morgan was with Messiah. Like, I didn't understand their relationship. I did not understand their relationship because I really feel like she just stepped into her sister's shoes and literally did the exact same thing that her sister did, which was go after the most despicable, terrible guy that she could find. And I didn't understand how she fell so deeply in love. Like, what did he do to make her fall in love? Like, when she was still deaf, because like I said earlier, she got the surgery so that she can hear. He was learning sign language or whatever. But I just did not see the layers of their relationship develop. Like, I understand why Alani was struggling with whether or not she loved him. That makes sense. But I just did not understand why Morgan was head over heels. I didn't get it because I just didn't feel like they built anything. Like, there was no foundation built. Like, okay, he was learning sign language or whatever. But girl, what is the reason? Except for the fact that you thought he was attractive and you were attracted to his danger. Like, I didn't understand it. And their relationship annoyed the fire out of me for 98% of the book. So I just really was not feeling that. The men were lifted up way too high, and the women were just too delusional about these men. They were so but I need him. Girl, stand up. Stand up, sis, okay? Stand up. Something else, which is a really, really big thing for me, was I really felt like there was a lot about Ethic that I still did not know. Like, I honestly feel like this series could have easily been called Alani just as much as it was called Ethic, because I feel like we spent so much time with Alani. We spent so much time getting to know her family, getting to know her. I don't feel like the same amount of time was spent on Ethic. And I still have so much, I want to know where he get the name Ethic from. Is that in the product plan or Lux? Because somebody tell me, because I need to know. He is still very much a mystery, and I just want to sit down with Ethic and just have some coffee and just ask him questions, because I feel like there was still so much about him that I did not know. I wanted them to, first of all, explore like, why did he take on the name Ethic? Because I find that a little oxymoronic, right? I found that a little interesting considering what the word ethic means. I wanted to know more about his mother and that whole situation, which was just sad, child. They told us a little bit about that in book 3, which was my absolute favorite in the series because I feel like that was the book that we learned the most about him. But even still, like, I just feel like I feel like I missed so much about Ethic. I want to know, like, how he got into the drug game, and I want to know how he ascended to where he was, like, who was his mentor, okay? Like, who taught him, because he is the man, and I'm trying to figure out how did he become the man. And also, like, his mindset is very different from a lot of the other dope boys and people that are in that lifestyle. And I want to know, like, what shaped him. And I feel like I missed that. Like, I mean, did y'all get that? Y'all let me know, because I feel like I missed that. I want to know more about, I wanted them to explore more, like, with his dad and all that stuff, because again, this book series could have been called Alani, because I feel like we learned so much more about her. And even with his daughter's, his first daughter's mother, like, somebody tell us more about this. Like, I need to know more, okay? Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I feel like there was a lot more about Ethic that I wanted to know. I wanted to get more into his psyche. Like, how in the world did he even meet Dolce? Like, all of these things. I just feel like, what is going on? I need to know more, because it's called Ethic, but I feel like Ethic was just the person that strung everybody else's story together, but we didn't really, like, focus on him as like, how did he get into yoga and all? Like, I need to know. So that's just me. Another thing that I did not like about this series was there was a lot of unnecessary spice. And I know that street fiction, urban fiction, sometimes is often really known for the spice, but ma'am, like, I just feel like almost every time we saw Morgan and Messiah, they was, like, doing a thing. Like, what's going on? Like, they didn't have no conversations, like, no in-depth, like, what's going on? Like, there was just spice after spice after spice after spice. And I'm not even gonna hold y'all, I almost DNF'd book 6 because of the scene with the massage therapist or whatever, whoever this was. Ma'am, why are you here? Who invited you? Like, what is this? It was too much. And I also found it to be very weird and contradictory to Alani's character whenever she saw or even thought that Ethic was with another woman. I just found it to be weird. And it just was so unnecessary. It added nothing important to the series. It just was like, what? I didn't like it. And I almost DNF'd. I had to put the book down for like a day and a half, and I was just like, girl, are we gonna finish this? Because this is so unnecessary. Again, almost every scene with Morgan and Messiah, I'm like, girl, this is why you wilding out, because you focused on this. Honey, get to know this man. Like, he had a whole past and sprung on y'all a whole dynamic of family secrets, and you just missed it because, sis, you so quick to lay down. What's going on? Anyways, I thought that there was just way too much spice. It was just so unnecessary. I honestly feel like if she cut out 50% of the spice in this book, the series still would have been good. Because, again, the plot twists and the storyline was just so good. But we ain't need all that. We ain't need all of that. Last but certainly not least, I honestly feel like originally the series was supposed to end at book 4, but it got stretched out to 6 books. I honestly feel like I could have stopped at 4. I feel like book 6 was like just a lot of spice unnecessarily, like, and 98% of that could have been cut out, and it could have been squished into 4 books. 4 books would have been enough. But you know, it is what it is. They got to get it how they live. And I'm not mad, sis, because you got us buying all 6 of the books. So there's that. But I definitely feel like the series was a little bit too long. It could have been condensed to 4 books, maybe 5, but that's kind of pushing it. But I really feel like the series could have been condensed because there was just way too much spice in book 6. And just other unnecessary stuff. I'm just like, girl, what? What is the reason? What is the reason? So these are the things that I liked and did not like about the ethics series. Now, after the ethics series is the butterfly series, which features Morgan. Now, y'all already know that Morgan wears my nerves thin. And if I'm honest, I was not interested. I was not interested in reading Butterfly. But I was online and I heard a spoiler about Messiah. Because in the ethics series, Ashley kills off Messiah. But I heard through the grapevine that this is not the end of Messiah's story. So, in spite of this series being crazy and just so emotional and stressing me out, okay, hear me out. I got Butterfly 1 and 2 because I need to know what happened with Messiah. I need to know. Again, like I said, I didn't hate him. I didn't love him, but I was invested in his story. So I don't know when I'm going to get to these books because, child, you have to be prepared when you are reading anything by Ashley, Antoinette, or Jaquavis Coleman because, girl, they are good for a series and they are good for snatching you up by your edges and not letting go until the series is over. So I do not know when I'm going to start Butterfly. I will let y'all know. I will try to do something, maybe a reading vlog, but I need to know what happened to Messiah. So hopefully it's not too crazy because I don't mind DNFing. But yeah, I need to know what happened to Messiah. So I don't know when I'm going to start this series, but I will let you know and I will keep you posted. If you made it to the end of this video, you are a real one. Okay, you are a real one. Thank you so much for watching. Please holler at me in the comments. I want to know if you read the ethics series and also Moth to a Flame, Christmas with the Okafors. Oh, I didn't talk about Christmas with the Okafors. Christmas with the Okafors was like a little in-between book between the ethics series and the butterfly series. And again, like I said earlier, I think the ethics series was drug out a little bit too long. I do not feel like the Christmas with the Okafors book was necessary, but it did give you some things to look forward to in the butterfly series. So if you plan on going into Butterfly Land or the Field of Butterflies, then go ahead and read Christmas with the Okafors. If you do not, then I suggest that you do not read it, because once you read it and you hear about certain things, you're gonna be like, oh, I want to know. So yeah. It was a great book. It was cute. It was Alani trying to get the people together to have their first perfect little Christmas. And I mean, it's ethics, so nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect. And there was a lot of drama and just things. Things, honey. There was some things going on. But if you are going to read the Butterfly series, I do suggest that you read Christmas with the Okafors because it leads you straight into that series. So yeah, okay, y'all, I'm done. I think I've been talking for like an hour. I'm done. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thought about this video. And also, what did you think about the ethics series, okay? Thank you so much again for watching this video. Whew, I am tired, okay? I am tired. But I had to get that off my chest. All right, so I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll speak to you on the next one. Bye.